Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to It's Just Plain Cyber, with me, Terry German, and my co-host, Steve Arnold. So,
Hi.
it's been, how long's it been now? It must be about three or 4 months.
It's been several months. We've been very busy, haven't we? Both in our
Yes,
personal life and work life.
yes. So, what's the reason why we've not been doing the podcast episode so much is I got married in end of July and I had my honeymoon in August, and then you had your wedding in what, September, and started having your honeymoon there.
Yeah, literally 4th of September got married and then honeymoon was 7th of September and then so we took a little time out, didn't we? And then
Yes, we
obviously
did.
catching up with everything.
No, it's been good. And then when you get back to work, it's you've got to catch up on the 2 weeks you've been away. Um, and but we're back on it now. What we decided to do on this? What did we decide to do on this one?
Just a bit of a roundup, I think. I guess we'll
Yeah,
we did talk a little off camera, as it were, but I
yeah,
guess we can tell people a little bit about. Well, it depends how much you want to go into your wedding and honeymoon, but yeah, we can chat about that. You know what we've been up to,
yeah,
and then there was a couple of little topics that you wanted to touch on, which are
yeah,
quite personal, and given the fact that we are actually now midway through November, which is crazy.
yeah, yeah. So it's and we could talk about football if you want, Steve, but that might not be a topic you want to talk about at the moment.
Well, I think given that last year when it was the other way around, you said you didn't want to talk about it. I'm going to throw that one right back at you.
Well, touche.
Yes, no, this is not a football podcast.
No, 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 it's not
How was
now,
your
is
wedding anyway, mate?
it?
How was your wedding? All good?
Oh, brilliant. We had the wedding reception and the whole shebang in one place. So we
Yeah.
didn't have people going from a church to a venue and then going all that. And where we had it was the whole location is only open for weddings. So it's got a hotel on it, but it only opens for weddings. So we took over the whole hotel, all the rooms out,
Nice.
and all the family and close friends who was going to the wedding would stay there overnight, and everything was done, and it was brilliant. And the weather was absolutely amazing. And
Nice.
during the whole wedding, the only person I felt sorry for was the DJ. And the reason why I felt sorry for him is because it was so hot, everybody was outside,
Oh, so
and
yeah.
and he was playing his music, and there was virtually nobody in until later on in the evening when it started to get a
Yeah.
little bit chilly.
Yeah.
But that was good. And we finished that. And then it was about 3 weeks later, we went away to Turkey for 2 weeks, all inclusive, a proper
Nice.
plug yourself into the wall and a recharge. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. 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 That's the way to do it, mate. If you can't take
Inclusive and not
some,
have to worry about it.
yeah, if you can't take some time off work on your own honeymoon, then when can you? You know, that is the way to do it. And yeah,
Yeah.
similar to yourself, mine was all on site. The people that were staying there were there. Um, we thankfully got good weather, even though it was September and the weather had been rubbishly nuts because we got married outside. Um,
But the whole the
uh,
whole the whole event was outside. Was it in a marquee or something?
no, sorry. So the wedding was outside. We could move it inside if we needed to, if the weather was going to be terrible, but it looked like it was going to be okay that day. So we got married outside, but there was like the food was inside, all that sort of stuff. But again, because we had like lawn games and all that sort of stuff, a lot of the time people were outside until, like you said, later on in the evening when it got a little cooler. And then literally, yeah, three days later, I went over to Santorini. I got stuck in Santorini. That's a story. Um, I woke up
But
on
don't forget, Steve, we've only got half an hour.
all right. Well, we'll leave it at this. British Airways cancelled our flight home basically on the day we were due to come home. But there are worse places to be stuck than Santorini, so it was okay. Another day in paradise, as they say.
Yeah, and then you had a little event of boxing that you've been training for, haven't you?
Yeah, that was literally what 2 days ago, 3 days ago. So
Saturday, yeah, yeah.
yeah, that was so I started my camp on the honeymoon, so I was in the gym every day. One of my friends, it seems a strange thing, I know, but I helped him train for his last fight. I used to do a lot of boxing a long time ago. I haven't been in the
All
ring
right.
competitively for 10 years, but he was like, "Oh, we should have a boxing match," and I was like, "One last hurrah, come on!"
Of
And I've
course,
just
of course, you had a helmet on, didn't you? A protective
no,
helmet.
no,
No.
no. That was one of my stipulations. I said if you want to fight me, we do it without head guards. So We did it. We did it properly. We had a proper boxing match. I said, I've just turned 40. If I'm going to go out last hurrah, let's do it properly. Let's have a proper boxing match. So everybody else had everybody
if
else
Jake
had head
Paul and
guards.
Mike's
We didn't bother.
yeah, if Jake Paul and Mike Tyson can have a fight, without any head guards on, then you can.
Yeah, no, and it's 16-ounce gloves. It's very unlikely you're going to get really hurt. But no, it's good. Yeah, and like he's a good friend of mine, so we shared a beer after, shook each other's hand like gentlemen, the way it should be. And I'm here without a scathe, really. So we're all good.
No,
Everything's
no.
fine.
Yeah.
He's got a bit of a black eye.
I was looking at you before. Yeah. I was looking at you before and saying he's got two black eyes, looks like a panda or something.
No. I was quite lucky. I was actually thinking, I was like, God, imagine if I get really hurt. I'm going to be on this podcast with a big black eye. But no, he's got a bit of a black eye, but it's all cosmetic stuff, really. It's fine. And that's it. I'm back to playing football now. I'm playing football tomorrow. I've been looking forward to seeing my football friends for months because, again, I stopped that because I was training for my boxing match. So I've not been able to play football for months. So I'm looking forward to some relatively non-contact sport, as it were.
Yeah, and in the world we live in today, football isn't a contact sport, is it?
Not compared to boxing, no, for sure. There's a big difference. Big difference.
So how's work been since you come back?
Yeah, work's good. It's busy, actually. I mean, I don't know how much people know about who I work for, but we won't go into that. But it's a small company, so I've got a good relationship with my clients. Busy. There's a lot of hiring going on. I think that like as you and I spoke about just before, there's a lot of budget conversations going on. You tend to find that people are either trying to use up what's left of their budget, or they're planning for the year ahead. So this is kind of the last rush. I think November tends to be the last rush, if you like. December, everything seems to peter off a little bit because people have time off work and all that sort of stuff. And then things pick up in the new year. But no, from my perspective, all very good. How about yourself? Are you fending off intruders constantly?
Yeah, so this is where I say to everybody, and when I send an email out to the business around about, I think I'll be sending it out in the next 2 weeks or something, to say that yes, it's the festive period and we're all looking forward to our time off and our presents, but don't give hackers their Christmas present this year by letting your defenses down. And this is where I'll be running phishing campaigns in work to keep people alive about it, because it's not quiet.
Yeah, people will be jumping on that, whether it's people signing up to new websites if they want to buy things online, or people getting emails about discount offers and all this sort of stuff. Click on this link, and it looks really, really authentic because they know everyone's going to be looking at their emails for these discounts for Christmas presents. Now is the time people are going to get targeted by unscrupulous people, should we say?
Yes, and it's out there, and I tried to make an effort to on this episode not talk about AI because it seems to trickle into everybody's conversation at the moment.
It does, yes.
But yeah, so that makes our jobs a little bit harder. But again, as I always say, and I've said to everybody else, AI will only do what people tell it to do. So if you don't, if you can't just plug it in and play and it'll do everything for you, you've got to tell it to do something first. And that's part of AI, and that's where we've got to be protective. And it's gone past the days of you're the last living relative of the Prince of Nigeria. And we've gone past them ones now. Yeah,
they do still do the rounds, but which is crazy. But no, they have. Anyway, I'm interested actually. Something that just comes to my mind there. One of our first podcasts, actually, I mentioned things like deep fakes, which is obviously relative to AI. And at the time, you hadn't heard of them. Since
I had, I just never heard it called. I never heard it called that. Yeah,
a deep fake. Yeah. You must be saying. It's insane. I know you didn't want to talk about AI, but it's insane looking at some of the videos I see on social media of situations, and they are getting harder and harder to work out whether that's real or not. It's crazy, really, really bad now, and it's only going to get worse as well.
Well, the AI is going to get better, but the way people get scammed is going to be worse. But the thing I always say if we're talking about the phishing emails and things like that is, by law, if a marketing company and this is again, if a marketing company is sending out a marketing email, like we've got this great event, do you want to come along to it? They have to, by law, have an opt out or an unsubscribe button at the bottom.
Yeah.
So what people are getting scared of now is any kind of link in an email, any link, whether it says click here or download here or unsubscribe here or opt out. People are getting frightened of that. And it's getting people to understand the unsubscribe and the opt out button is very, very, very rarely linked to a suspicious link. If you get an email that hasn't got an opt out button or an unsubscribe button, that's when you start going, okay, this is not quite right.
Yeah.
And then we go to where we talked about AI before. A lot of AI generated emails. What they will do is, and I've got it down on my notes here about different kinds of scams. Is they will look at your Facebook profile and see where you've been, who you've been talking to, and on LinkedIn as well. They'll see who your people you communicate with, and what they'll do is they'll design an email. The AI won't. The person who's trying to trick you will use AI to script an email.
Yeah.
And it will say like, I know you've been away on holiday this year, but is it possible you can do this transaction before? And it'll come from a person you've already communicated with.
Yeah.
And what I always say to people is when you get emails like that on a separate email, if you're unsure, just send that person an email and say, I've just received this email from you. Is this right? And that's one way of not getting around it, but that's one way of trying to find out whether it's real or not.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a really good. I haven't thought about that, to be fair. I mean, obviously one of the obvious ones is to look at the actual email address it comes from rather than the name that comes up, but they can be really clever around the type of wording and stuff in an email. It is getting more and more sophisticated. But yeah, like you said, yeah, just drop an email from maybe your personal address or something. Or obviously, if you've got someone's phone number, then text them. But yeah, it's I don't know anybody personally that's been sort of duped, as it were,
But
recently.
there's But I'm speaking to companies at the moment because it's something I want to bring into my business next year. It's called email DLP. So in
Okay.
case people who don't know what DLP is, it's data loss prevention.
Yeah.
What this piece of software does, it attaches to your email. Now I'm not sure if you can. I think you can have it for personal emails, but what I'm talking about is for a business email. So it attaches to your Exchange and your business email. And what it does is if say I send an email to you, Steve, right? So I'm sending an email to you and I've sent hundreds of emails to you and we've had back and forth conversations. And then on one occasion, I'll send an email to steve.l.arnold. So for whatever reason, there is another person called that. And what this software will do is if I'm quickly typing something, and usually with Microsoft, if you select the to button or you start typing a letter in, like start typing Steve, it'll automatically populate with the person you last sent an email to.
Okay.
So I may have last sent it to Steve L. Arnold. So what this will do is before you send it, it'll pop up an email. The AI in the background will look at all your past emails or have a track of your past emails and seeing if you have any communication with this Steve L. Arnold. And if you haven't, it'll pop up on the screen and say, we have noticed that you are sending an email to Steve L. Arnold. We have checked your emails and you have had no communication with this person in the past. Can you confirm whether it's correct or not? And then you
Right.
will look at that and go, oh, damn, I'll send it to the wrong person. So before you've sent it, you've got a chance of correcting it. And that's the
Yeah.
same if you're sending financial documentation or personal information and you put it in attach and you just quickly type and send. In when I say the olden days, the nowadays is you'll click send and it will go and then you'll go, oh, damn it, I've just sent personal information to the wrong person.
Yeah.
What this will do is it'll prompt you and say, are you sure?
Yeah.
And that's why there's things out there that are coming better in Q1 of 2025 that'll help users. You can never fix a user error. You can't, but you can reduce the amount of errors.
Yeah. You can. Yeah. Prevention is better than cure, is it?
Yeah.
But yeah, essentially, yeah, giving you that notification, like, are you sure you want to do this before actually doing it? Because it kind of gives you that second to just reevaluate.
But it'll only pop up if there's something. If I send an email
An
to
anomaly,
you,
yeah, for sure.
yeah. If I send an email to you, it's not going to pop up every time and say, "Oh, you sure you want to
No,
send
of
to
course.
Steve?"
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But
yeah,
if I
yeah.
send a financial record to you, and I never have in the past, it'll say, "Are you
That
sure
seems
this is
strange.
the?" Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, speaking of DLP, I mean, I don't know if it was something that you wanted to bring up or not, but there was a certain company we did discuss something about with regards to DLP, potentially working with in the future. But maybe that we save that for a future episode.
Yeah. Yeah. We do. Yeah. Because I'm going to be. I think it was there's a company called Force Point.
Force point. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they have asked if either me or yourself or both of us together can go on one of their podcast episodes that they run,
Yeah.
and then vice versa. So there is
Yeah.
a possibility we can get somebody else. But we've said this quite a few times and it's fallen through. So we're gonna have to do our
Yeah.
best.
Yeah, I think now we've got a good free run at everything. We'll certainly
Yeah,
be inviting some more people. But yeah, no, it was just fun. I wasn't sure if the reason you mentioned DLP was because you'd mentioned to me over email that you'd been speaking to ForcePoint. Obviously, they're
yeah,
big
yeah,
DLP software. What else do you think there is to sort of keep an eye out for in the run up to Christmas?
yeah. Well,
Um,
okay. There's quite a few really. There's
okay, go for
have
it.
you heard of shoulder surfing?
I can imagine, given the name, what it probably is in terms of. In fact, I may be able to. I'll let you tell you what it is, and if it's what I think it is, I'll be able to tell you something very interesting about Santorini. But I'll let you carry on.
Right. Shoulder surfing is if you're in a lift and you're talking to somebody in oh no, the easiest way on a train, and you're on a train with a work colleague and you're talking about a deal that's happening or a
Mm-hmm.
purchase of a company.
Yeah,
You don't know who's around,
yeah, 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 yeah.
and shoulder surfing is somebody listening or looking over your
Oh,
shoulder or
yeah,
listening to you what you're talking about,
yeah,
and they'll get that information and then they'll go away and go, right, okay, Stephen Terry are about to buy this company,
yeah.
and let's go and release it to the press, or let's go and see if we can get in there before you. And also which I don't do, it's a kind of one of my bugbears is when you're on a train and someone's got their laptop open doing their work.
Oh, crazy.
And right, and there's been quite a few times people have been sat next to me, and I've made a purpose movement to just lean and look at their screen until they notice me. And when they notice me, they close the screen down or something like that, because it's that thing. Sometimes you may be just sending an email to your friend or doing a WhatsApp to your friend or whatever.
Yep, yep.
But if you're dealing on spreadsheets and you're writing policies and things like that, people are nosy. That's the human nature. We're all nosy, and
Mm.
you will just naturally look at somebody and look at their screen. I've done it many a time.
Yeah.
I was on a course in London, and this one of my lecturers in the on the course I was in London said, if you look at the street, if you go down the streets in London, you will see a lot of offices that have a floor below the ground, like a basement floor, and they'll have windows. And when you walk along, you can actually just look down and see all the people in that office on that basement floor, and you can see all their screens. And it's not as if you look at it without even making an effort. You know, if there was a
Yes.
window on the floor, you'd be tiptoeing and looking into the window. But on this one, because they're all low, you're just
Yeah.
standing there and you just look down.
Yeah.
So these are all type of things that would be classed as shoulder surfing.
Yeah, and the I mean, if you go back to the sort of train scenario, if you like, the people that do go out of their way to do that thing, they're the exact environments they would target to go and do that
Mhm.
because you're in such close proximity to people. Now, what their hit rate is, I don't know, but that is exactly what I thought you were going to mention, and it's quite funny because when I was in Santorini on my honeymoon, so you pay by card, um, and the first day the gentleman handed me the card machine and he said, just be careful. He said, because so for example, over here we have the standard keypad, if you like, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7
Yeah,
8 9 asterisk
yeah,
zero hash whatever it is. He said it changes every time over here. So the format of so if you're used to just doing the same format, don't do that. He said make sure you look at the screen. the order of the numbers changes every time that we give you the card machine.
Oh wow.
And I said, okay, I said, that's interesting. Why do you do that? He said, because if there's somebody that's looking over your shoulder or just keeping an eye on you that notices a pattern in the way that you put the key number in, if you're not paying contactlessly, for example, then it makes it easy for them to then somehow get hold of your password or your PIN number.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's really clever. Like it's unusual that would happen, but that's really clever. Like it, and I was like, I've never come across that before.
That's Mission Impossible stuff. That is.
I know, but I was like, that's like nth degree sort of level of security, and given it's something that I hadn't even thought of, to be fair. But no, that's exactly what I thought you were going to mention there.
Oh, that's quite good. That's quite interesting. Made me think now.
It's smart, yeah.
Could I bring that into the business? I know we don't use PCI much, so it'd be different. No, but that's a good example, really.
Yeah, no, really good. And I'm surprised since they mentioned it that it's not something that's been thought of over here. And unless it's just something, and maybe that's just something that happens a lot over in Santorini. I'm not sure because it's a big tourist hub, so maybe it is something that happens. But yeah, no, it's the first time I'd ever seen it, and I was like, wow, that's really clever.
Yeah. And the other one is tailgating. Have you heard that one?
No, I'd imagine it's quite similar though. I'll try and think of an
example. Tailgating is if I guarantee you've experienced it, right? Even in your office, right? So you are going to your office, right, and you have to scan to get in the door.
I know.
Yeah. There's a gentleman outside with 2 cups of coffee and hands are full, right? No name badge on, and just the nice person that you are. He says, "Oh, is it possible you can hold the door for us when you get?" And you do. You open the door. Now that person's now in your premises now.
Yeah.
Right. And it's the people worried about confronting anybody.
Yeah.
So if you see somebody that depending on what type of person you are, but if you see something that you've never seen before in your office, do you have the, pardon my French, do you have the balls to go up to that person and say, "Excuse me, who are you looking for? And who are you?"
If they're looking for and they look confident, you tend to just sort of excuse them in, don't you?
One little story. When I used to work for Deutsche Bank, years and years ago, there was one occasion. I think I must have only been there like 2 or 3 months. And I was going through the door, very security conscious, going through a door. And as I went through the door, there was a gentleman behind me. I was only aware of him as I got through the door. I went through the door and the door shut in front of him. He opened the door. He said, "Excuse me, do you know who I am?" I went, "No." He went, I'm the managing director on this floor. I said, "I'm sorry, I don't know who you are." He said, "You should always be careful of who is around, and if there are a hierarchy, you should always let them in." And I was nervous because I only just started at the job.
Yeah.
And I start thinking, and then you start thinking, but that person could be anybody.
Yeah, they could just be
and
saying.
It's things like that you're frightened to go up to somebody and ask.
Yeah.
Even in a hotel or anywhere, the nice people will open the door for somebody, but if you're going somewhere secure or you're going into your office building, you don't open the door for everybody. It doesn't matter how much in stress they are.
Yeah, no, I mean external penetration testers will do that as well. Like they'll walk to a door, like you said, they might look confident whether they're carrying 2 cups of coffee or whatever, and they come in and then they go to reception and say, "Oh, I'm here to meet somebody. Do you mind if I use this meeting room or whatever?" And say, "Oh, excuse me, what's the Wi-Fi password, by the way? Sorry, I'm just trying to log on, check my emails." And all of a sudden they're inside your system, and that is something that external penetration testers will do, that sort of thing when a company hires them to come and test their systems. And it's like I said, we've spoke about it many times. It's not always about it's the person. It's not always about necessarily how secure your actual systems are. Sometimes the person can give you the access that you need. And it's also, so that's where the security awareness training and all this sort of stuff comes into organizations.
I love these social engineering external pen testers because I'm always interested in how far they get, and it could be that they may even get to a point of they're not actually want to steal let's say they don't actually steal data, because some of them don't know what they're stealing anyway. So as a criminal, you could go to someone and pay them and say, right, I want you to go in there and get us 2 laptops. Yeah. So they're paid to do it. So what they'll do is they'll see how far they can get in and just see 2 laptops on a desk. Don't know what's on them. Might be broken ones. You don't care. And just close them down, shut them, and walk out and see if anybody else will notice you walking out with 2 laptops. And there's part of me that I'm interested to see how far they would get. And
Well,
that I always find that really, really fascinating.
yeah, yeah. The offensive side of security isn't a side that I've worked too much on, but it is very the more that I read about it, and I see the lengths they go to, like I mentioned, the sort of getting access to an office, that's what the Wi-Fi code is, things like that. You realise how easy it can be. Even things like leaving a USB stick lying around. Someone picks a USB stick up, they put it in their laptop. Oh, I wonder what's on this. All of a sudden, tracking device. They've got the
Yeah.
person that's got it. They've got access to the entire internal network. It's a very very clever industry, and definitely the likelihood of a lot of it happening is pretty slim. But it's always better to again, it's prevention better than cure, isn't it? It's always better and certainly more cost effective for organisations.
Well, yeah, we get, because I've seen and other social medias are available. I've seen I've seen on TikTok with these, we'll call them young adults, just go into the back of McDonald's, and they're filming themselves going into the back of McDonald's, and going in behind the counter in a Costa Coffee, and you think to yourself, that's the kind of thing.
Yeah.
But the world we are in today, and that's a phrase I seem to be using a lot, the world we are in today, um, people won't confront anybody because they're frightened of what will be the backlash.
Yes.
And then we've
Yes.
even you go right back into the olden days. I'm not going to say what the olden days are, just in case people are older than us. Right? When you go, yeah, when you go back into the olden days, if you've seen someone getting mugged or beaten up on the street, 90% of people will just walk past and not do anything because they're
Yeah.
frightened of what will happen to them. And that's why most shop owners, and I've heard this say, most shop staff will be told not to interact with anybody
Don't
who's
stop
stealing
them.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and that's why the younger adults of today know that unless the police get them, they get away with literally murder.
No, yeah, that's. I guess we're kind of venturing into another conversation, aren't we? But yeah, that's definitely a societal issue. Is someone carrying a knife, etc., etc.? Is it worth stopping something, and you could put yourself in danger? But yeah, there's obviously cross
Mm,
pollination between the two.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
interesting, very
But
interesting, sir.
so what I'm gonna say now, because we're coming up to the end of this episode.
Yeah,
Um, we're gonna do one in December,
yeah.
and it will be Christmas related. We'll look at things that are going on,
Mhm.
and we'll also take a deeper look. I was nearly going to say deep dive then, but that's business talk. We'll
We'll
do it.
cycle back round.
Yeah, we'll circle back around. We'll have to tick that one off on the bingo.
Yeah.
And what we'll do is we'll look at the careers within security, even in
Yes.
your area,
Yeah. Yeah.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
GRC,
Yeah.
and we'll look at how we can get people into the security world from a basic level up to someone who's quite experienced, and see what excitement, enjoyment areas we can go into. And we'll look at the different kind of areas in security as well. It's not just sorting out what security on a network. It could be anything.
No, for sure. And I know I was very much focusing on GRC area, but I've been relatively agnostic across security. And I actually have a very good case point of somebody that I have kept in contact with who, in terms of progression and all that sort of stuff that you mentioned there, came in as a senior level person, progressed to a lead level person, was then a manager and is now a head of. And these
Mm,
are these are things you should look for, particularly in your career. I think progression's important and things and stuff like that. So no, yeah, for sure, we should definitely, because like you and I spoke about before we started this. Coming towards the end of the year, I think people naturally do start to look at, what do they want to do for the following year. A lot of that will come around careers. People do start to look for their next step, whether that's internally or externally. That's obviously up to yourselves. But if there's something you can help with, if
mhm.
there's something I can help with, the advice, the things you've seen over the years, that those sort of career paths, or even just getting your first leg on the ladder, then that's certainly it's a pertinent topic, particularly coming towards the end of the year.
Yeah. So that'll be our next one, and we'll kick that one off in December and get right back on it. Excited to get back on it as well.
No, I am as well. I've missed your face.
Oh, thank you.
I should have had the background. I've still got my stained glass window behind me, but I do apologise. No, it's all good. We'll certainly avoid the football unless the tides turn. Then I will bring it back up again.
That's okay. That's okay. All right. Thanks very much, Steve.
Thanks, mate.
We'll see you all in our next episode. Thank you for tuning in.
Thanks, guys. Speak to you soon. All right,
See ya.
bye-bye.
Bye.